Hey there, Pisces. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing great. I'm so excited to wrap up the month with you. Some really exciting messages that came through as well. And let's get started, okay? I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little furry creature is Apollo. What we'll be looking at today is the month of October, again, for Pisces. And you can use this for your sun, your rising, and your moon sign. I welcome cross-watching, so if you want to look on behalf of someone that you love or at the different aspects of your chart, you can again use it for your sun, your rising, and your moon. And the way that I work also is the beginning portion is all psychic downloads. So a lot of times you can show up to any of my readings and get a message that makes sense for you just by tuning in at the beginning, and you're always welcome at the end as well. The way that I structure every reading is in 4 main parts. We'll take a look at all of the psychic downloads. I'm going to put the stock down while I'm looking here. The psychic download is what I call the channeled message or messages. And we'll start with that. Then we'll go into the Celtic Cross, which unlike a lot of other readers, I kind of let it take on whatever flavor it wants to take on. So if it's going to be more work or relationship focused, so be it. Whatever needs or should come through will come through. Then in the third part, we do the expanded forecast looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then in the latter portion, it's soul work. We'll be looking at, in the soul path, anything that came through this general beginning part of the reading that maybe there needs to be a little bit more clarification, or maybe there's something else that we want to focus on to help you get through the rest of the year. And then we'll meditate and listen to a sound bath at the end to help integrate all the messages. So as you can tell, a lot to take in, a lot of really cool aspects that we can kind of focus on of your sign, of your chart, of the energy. And I want to get started. So 2 things that I want to say beforehand. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Ryan because I went live just as I did. So hi, Ryan. Hi, Maria. Thank you. Those are my 2 moderators. They will help with any high-level questions that you have and point you in the right direction. And I also want to just address that I don't take questions. I've seen a lot of questions coming through. There's a lot that I have to go through, and it would go probably 2 hours if I was taking questions. So just know that if you pay attention to the general forecast, you should get the guidance that you need. Like I said, feel free to drop in more frequently, and you'll probably get more in the channeled messages because they're all psychic downloads. You're welcome to use, however, Super Chat just to support the channel. It does help me with little tiny things like just buying the supplies, all of these index cards and markers, and then also trying to buy new decks. What you sort of generously provide in the way of contribution helps a lot there. So you can do a super sticker, Super Chat. You can also, if you're watching this on replay, click the applaud button, and it has the same functionality, and it's just a way to give back. All right, let's get started. The first thing that I was drawn to focus on today for Pisces was prosperity versus scarcity, particularly when it comes to expectations and how powerful it can be sometimes when we are kind of in the mindset of thinking that it's never going to happen, or it's not happening, or I don't have luck with this. Also worrying that I'm not going to have enough for things to work. So that scarcity mentality is actually a self-perpetuating sort of energy. And if you're constantly focusing on limited possibilities, limited resources, and you're limiting your imagination because of all of the aforementioned, then you're actually limiting your potential. When you start to open up and think about prosperity and possibility, then you're open, you're exploring, you're welcoming, and you're actually creating and bringing in the growth, which you may not have now, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to come. So release the idea that there isn't enough, that it won't happen, that you're not going to be able to do it. Instead, explore ways that you can make it happen, and making it happen is key. We'll talk a little bit about entitlement. One thing that you are entitled to in this lifetime is the feeling of happiness and joy. It's a divine right. But things coming to you are an active sort of result of what you're doing. So if you're not working towards it, it's not necessarily going to happen. And that's not the universe's fault, and it wasn't owed to you. We're here today to do the work and to find ways to be happy and abundant and on our paths. So I want you to expect more of yourself and also of others in your periphery. And this is kind of a multifaceted card. When I say expect more of others, it's not just that you're going to be demanding of them. It's sort of like if you have someone in your life that's not doing the best that they could be doing, help them see the potential. I think especially so with children, but even adults, if you react really positively and in a nurturing way around somebody, you can kind of whisper or cultivate out that light within them, and it starts to shine. Children are especially open to this. So if they're in a classroom and a teacher kind of defines them as a trouble student, or there's a reputation that's built in a certain sort of community and they can't break through that, they start to live up to that and they start to kind of embrace it. And if you can move, shift, or change that in some way, all of a sudden you can see a really quick metamorphosis. All we are is grown-up children. The same holds true. It's just a few more layers of the onion skin that we have to build through, or kind of break through on our ego to get to that. But it's the same thing. If you have a friend, a family member, a lover, and they're just not in a good space, hold that space for them. Say, you can do this. I know it. You've done it before. How can I help you? It's a lot more empowering than get your stuff together. You know, like you want to be loving and supporting, not demanding. Okay. So the expect more of yourself means that you're not ever, the story's not done, and you're also not defined by other people's expectations. So keep imagining, keep exploring, keep trying. If you don't succeed the first time, that doesn't mean that failure is systemic. It means that you were supposed to learn something, and the next time might be better, or the third time, or the fourth time. But eventually, if you're persistent enough, something amazing can happen. If you believe in, work to foster, and then expect more comes. If you do the reverse, less comes. So you have to keep expecting more and working. I think I want to kind of triple underline that, that work is a necessary piece to success. But when you're in that sort of joyful energy of creation, it doesn't feel as much like it is work. Create spaces in your life to allow for future abundance. This is a really useful technique in manifestation, where if you're looking to if you're looking to grow your business, you would maybe want to set up an account where there was a higher limit so that you could carry a higher balance. If you're looking to bring someone into your life, a friend, a roommate, a lover, maybe if it is like someone that you're going to be involved with, you'll make room in your closet and in one of your drawers. So eventually maybe some of their stuff can be in your space, or you can get a bigger place. Making space, either figurative or literal, is a very effective way, because then the universe looks at you and they're like, oh yeah, you actually do have space. I guess you're ready. Here it comes. Although if it's too tight or too small, then it's going to be more difficult for that abundance to come through. I want you to try something if you'd like to. Waking up each day in the next month, and even if you want to start early, for those of you that are watching before October, set the expectation that great things are possible, and then see yourself as the conduit to create those great things. So instead of getting up and thinking, ugh, it's a Monday, you could think, wow, today I could actually, maybe I'm going to make some progress on finding a new job, or getting a deal on a house, or starting to, find some new people in my life that have the same dreams and goals that I do. And then, and we'll talk about this in a moment, you're going to actually create an action plan, not just get in the aspirational mode. But in the morning, at least expect something like, today could be amazing. It's Monday, but some Mondays are great. Maybe this is one of them. Kind of like play around with yourself a little bit and the alarm clock and everything. And if you're having a hard time getting up, what if in the 15 minutes that you're sitting there and kind of making deals with yourself and the snooze alarm, you think, what if I got up in this 15 minutes and started to do some research on this? Especially if you're trying to find a new job or create a business. This is what I do, by the way, in those little moments where I could be watching TV, sleeping a little bit more, or just goofing off. I try to think, all right, I need to look at this. I want to get this done, because I fire on a lot of cylinders. I'm working at a lot of different jobs and different things. And that's how you do it. You make a deal with yourself. I'm going to try to get something done. And if you do that 15 minutes a day, pretty soon you've added an extra couple hours into the week that didn't exist, and things start to happen and it gets exciting. Okay. To that point, take action. It only takes one small step to create movement, and that movement eventually feeds into momentum, which gets really, really exciting once it happens. And we don't realize sometimes the aggregate effect of those maybe weeks or months of us doing that extra little bit, 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's all I'm encouraging you to do. I'm not going to ask you. You can do whatever you want, but I'm encouraging you to try that, an extra 15. I gave another sign a sort of 20-minute challenge. You can partake in that one if you would like to. 15 to 20 minutes, it's really magical because you can easily do it. Beginning of the day is often more powerful because you're not tired. I know that sometimes after a long day, especially when I had to commute here in Los Angeles, so if I worked like a 10-hour day and then I was in traffic for an hour, by the time I got home and ate dinner, and I didn't have a dog, but if I had a dog at that point, walk the dog, you don't have much left. And if you have children or a partner, it's hard. Usually mornings are a little bit more energetic. So if you can get up early before your partner, before your family, before your job, and add that time in and do something special with it, you'll be surprised what can happen. As I said earlier, you have a divine right to experience love and to be happy, but nothing's guaranteed. Everything requires a little bit of work. So release that feeling of entitlement. I deserve this. It's much more powerful to say, I earned this, I worked hard for this, and I'm really happy that I achieved it. Otherwise, you're not ready for it if you think it's automatically coming your way. In fact, you have to detach a little bit, and we'll talk more about that in a moment here. So instead, take the feelings of like frustration, entitlement, or comparison, like why is my friend Susie or whatever, getting ahead here, or she got the promotion, or this happened. Forget about that. I don't have a friend Susie. I'm just using an example. But if you're looking at that instead, it would be like, wow, that's really, I'm inspired by the movement she made. I wonder how she did it. I wonder if I could do that for myself. She's amazing. I want to be amazing too. Don't get angry at Susie. Susie's doing something right. So choose your path of perseverance and determination, maybe investigation, talk to her. Maybe she could help you. Who knows? Anyway, you want to get into that alchemic energy of perseverance and determination, changing things. Basically, alchemy is taking one thing, moving it to another. So get alchemic this month and think, all right, I don't like this feeling. I'm going to shift it. So really what she's doing is getting me inspired. This sort of flush of energy that I'm feeling is not really jealousy. It's just like me kicking myself for not doing more. So thank you, friend, for making me realize I can do more. Now I'm going to do it. And that's it. So use that energy and just kind of transmute it into something else. Now, I talked about the daily mantra. Instead of using words like, I can do this, maybe I'll do this, I think I'm going to do it, I'll do it one day, I am doing this. I'm going to wake up today and I am doing this. Get yourself into the active and the very, very powerful state of doing. I am. I am is also a great thing to connect you to all the things that you think you want to be, but you already embody. So it's just really bringing the future into the here and the now. So forget about I can, I might, I will, I want to, I am. I am doing this today. I'm going to do it in 5 minutes. It's still a little bit too, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it after the shower. You have to just say I am. You've got to put that contract into place. Basically, what I'm trying to do is get you to get from the aspirational and hypothetical into actual and to active planning, to basically make it a verb rather than something that's in a future tense. So let's take the future out and make it now. The only surefire way to fail is not to try or to give into, I would say, indecision or inaction or just procrastination. So like the Four of Swords energy where I'm just going to take that nap. A lot of days I want to take a nap and I don't because I know that sometimes I'll lose too much momentum. So I want you to get sleep. I get enough sleep. I have to get like at least 7 hours sleep if I can, 6 to 7. But there are other points in the day where I push myself because I know I can. It's just our own sort of denial. And it's sometimes the shadow energies around us and the universe checking in to say, hey, are you sure you want to do this? That bed looks really comfy. So you have to be strong and you have to push a little bit. All right. Good news, though, once you've completed whatever you're trying to work on, whatever goal in your life, whether it's relationship goal, work goal, or some sort of self-improvement, when you've gotten to the point that you finished it or you're releasing it and seeing how the world is reacting to it, then you can detach. In fact, it's very good to do so because if you keep holding on to it, how can someone else take hold of it? So you don't want to be in the Four of Pentacles energy, which was also that sort of scarcity consciousness. You're guarding your heart, you're holding it in, you're kind of pulling your energy in. You want to kind of push your chest out, sit up tall, let go of it, and say, all right, now what? You can change your focus, which ironically might make some of the people that are interested in connecting with you even more interested, because you've got more things going. So you don't want to be too attached to one thing. You always want to have kind of like, it's like a plate. You don't just want one thing. You want a balanced meal. You want your proteins. You want a good amount of vegetables. You need some drink. You need to kind of have everything balanced out. So just make sure that you have a well-balanced sort of energetic buffet in front of you as well. This detachment allows more abundance to flow. What you can do to get into that energy of detachment is to kind of do what if, like, what else would I like to do? You should never wait until something's finished to think about this. A lot of times in coaching sessions, I mean, the first thing that I have a hard time landing on with some people is just what they like, what brings you happiness. Some people have denied themselves the right to be happy. They're like, I don't know, I just work, or I don't know. So I want you first to focus on what brings joy into your life. I want you to use a sort of metric and see if there's an overlap. Does the joy somehow overlap with what you're doing? If it doesn't, easy, you know how to kind of move into it. I'm going to create this space in my life to have fun. Maybe eventually that could also become part of my workspace too, or I could go back to school, or I could do other things. So find the joy, find the passion, and then see how you can bring some of your activities and what you're doing into that. I worked for a long time not in my passion. So I'm just as susceptible to that as everyone else, because sometimes we just have monetary requirements, or we're kind of giving into societal pressures to do something. And it wasn't until a lot of things went on in my life where I just realized time is not guaranteed. It can be short, that I decided if I'm gonna leave the planet any single day, I want to make sure that as I do that, some sort of legacy is left behind, and that I'm proud of the work and proud of the impact that I made. And so that's how I've been different over the past 5 years versus what I did before that. Every day matters. Every reading matters. Every card matters. Every moment matters. And I don't know how many moments we all have, so I might as well make them all work. Always give 100%, always care, always move into that energy of thinking like, why am I doing this if I'm not connected to it? I don't know how much time I have. So that's why I want to kind of make you think a little bit bigger, and also make sure that if you're just clocking in, there might be something bigger at stake here, which is, I guess I'm maybe drawn to a different path. So you're allowed to move into that path if you want to. We're not constrained by a dream or some sort of goal that we set when we were 18. I don't know how or why we decided that. Think about it. High school seniors, and credit and respect to anyone out there that's a high school senior, but you're just experiencing the beginning of your life. You're just entering into adulthood. So you have a theoretical view of what you think it might be like, but give that 10, 15, 20, 40, 50 years, you're going to get a much more realistic idea of what it's going to be like to be on that path. And it's very likely, I stepped away from my career path. I'm using some of the skills now, but twice I had to kind of make big moves in my career. And then this third time was an even bigger one. And I'm constantly trying to go into something else. I never feel like I'm done growing up. And I think that's one thing that I wanted to, we're not done growing. We're not done growing up. So what do you want to do next is what I would say, not when you grow up. And I think that would set kids up for more success. What's the first thing that you want to kick your life off doing? Like, what's your first passion? What else are you interested in? How could we kind of arrange your skills so that you have flexibility? And maybe you could explore these different things. You're not stuck in this. This is not a prison sentence. If you don't like your job, you don't like your major, you don't like something about your life, change it. It may not happen overnight, but you have the capacity to change it. You're only as stuck as you allow yourself to be. So yeah, liberate yourself into new ways of thinking and new ways of being. If you're having a lot of dreams about past coworkers, lovers, friends, etc., they're coming through right now, especially as you get into mid-October, so that you can release it. It's a karmic sort of cleansing. And also, we were just talking about looking at the past. Maybe there's a little gem hidden in the past when you were a kid, or when you're in school, or somewhere in the past where it was sort of like, that's how did I lose that piece of me? You didn't lose it, but now you can reforge it or refocus on it or polish that off and share it with the world. So there's some karmic healing that's going to be really important for you to kind of pay attention to in October. It's a good thing. It may be uncomfortable to go through, but it's okay. All right, for those of you that feel stuck, I have like a gift and a different way of thinking for you. What if you're exactly where you need to be right now? Even though we used an example earlier, what did I say, Susie? Whatever, your coworker, your friend, your sister, your mother, your father, somebody else is further ahead and is constantly comparing their life to yours. Parents sometimes do that too. So whomever in your life is kind of doing that, I want you to kind of think, well, I needed to learn certain things, and I'm in this situation because I chose certain experiences that brought me to this present. So the question is really, have I learned everything that I need to? If I have, then I can release this experience, this relationship, this job, this living situation, this roommate, whatever. And then I'm ready for the next thing. And I can start looking for signs and synchronicities to bring it in, because I am where I need to be. And if I can learn those lessons, it's going to be okay. I'm going to now expect and prepare for rapid change and growth because I'm tired of waiting. I'm ready now to just do it. And if any of you have ever broken up with somebody, quit a job, sold a house, lost someone in your life, you know what it's like to be in the sort of wake of rapid change. You don't think it's going to happen. And then when it does, it's kind of like it pulls the rug out from under your feet. So I want you to get ready for it so that you'll bring it in and you're going to be excited about the change. When I quit my job 6 years ago, I was really excited for the change, and I really knew I wanted to do it, but there was still fear associated with it and uncertainty after I did it. And it still took about 3 or 4 months for me, almost 5 actually. It's like a death. It's like a breakup. You need about a half a year to get into the new energy of being into something else. So that's one little kernel of personal experience. I wasn't truly in my new energetic flow probably for about 6 to 8 months. And then definitely in the following year, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm actually a different person. That one thing, writing out on a piece of paper, I hereby resign from blah, 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 that changed my whole life. A couple of sentences can change your destiny. I love you can change your destiny. Do you want to get married can change your destiny. I quit can change your destiny. And also just anything that you say or do. So do you realize how powerful you are? Every single word, every single thought has the capacity to shift it forward. So if you don't like where you're at, change it. But think maybe right now you're kind of in school, and before you graduate, just make sure that you've passed all the tests so that you don't repeat. And that's the important thing. And that's why we're bringing all of this up right before retrograde so that you can graduate. It's a good period for graduation. By the time November kicks in, you should be scot-free and ready for the next thing. One last note before we get into the Celtic Cross. I want you to try to avoid family arguments. This came through in my dreams and meditations last night. It's a distraction, and it's something that I talked about the shadow energy that comes through sometimes. Just before we're ready to make a big shift of growth in our life, sometimes the universe wants to just do one more test. So if you're trying to, like maybe it's a company and you have an IPO, like at the 11th hour, there's something that comes through where it's like, are we sure we want to do it? Or if you're trying to get married, you find out something about the person's past, and it's kind of like a test for how connected you are to this person, or how connected you are to this path or to this dream. So this is a distraction. If somebody's trying to get under your skin or get you to fight or argue, don't take the bait. Refocus, walk away if you can. It's not worth the time and energy. All the other stuff that we talked about today is a much more powerful place to put it. I don't think you should, if you're ever being discriminated, hurt, or abused by your family, you have to stand up for yourself. But if it's just an argument over the table, no, this isn't worth it. And that's kind of what I saw was a family gathering or get together where people were just insensitive or unaware, which happens a lot in family gatherings. So you're not alone, and it's not worth your time based on what I was picking up on. Okay, let's get into the cards and take a look at, again, the month of October, sun, rising, moon, sign of Pisces, month of October. All right. Thank you so much for being patient as I got everything set up. I forgot to mention that I'm usually quiet during that first portion just so that I can pay attention to the cards and get some additional messages. Let's talk about your catalyst card. So this is about, we were talking about earlier, you're in the right place at the right time. We have a travel card. And it's interesting because the world card is also in the crowning position. It's reversed. This card was also reversed. So whenever I see the world or the wheel of fortune or something that's showing travel and movement and the card is reversed, I was talking yesterday to Aquarius a little bit about being okay with maybe taking like a U-turn or doing a sharp turn if you were thinking of riding an automobile. I think that for some of you, there's a little bit of a course correction that you can focus on. And the key is to realize like what you're moving with you. Is it people? Is it like, look at the change. Try not to make the change in such a way that it kind of creates, what do you call it when you go really fast, but like your neck kind of gets turned. I want you to make sure that you're not feeling that sense of your body is jarred, your mind is jarred. You need to kind of take your time and be methodical about this, weigh out all of the options. And then I think that you're going to be in a really, really good place. So just take a little bit of extra, whiplash. Thank you so much. Mindful, Maddie. So yes, we normally have that whiplash. You don't need that. So the way that you can do this is to get into the Two of Pentacles. And I think we got the High Priestess energy. Yeah. So just know where you're going. It's a lot more powerful. And then you can decide how and when to navigate. And maybe you can do a couple of little swerves rather than just. So the changes are important. Sometimes we get so kind of like excited about making the change that it's too fast. So take a half step, do a little bit of work, figure out the timing. It is important. The timing makes a big impact on how effective you are. And then you can start to move into that energy. Some of you might be asked to travel. It's a scary time to do that right now, right? This could mean you might want to delay it or look at other ways of doing it, or just make sure that all the protections are put in place. We're not out of the woods yet when it comes to COVID-19, so you want to explore other options. The other thing that I'm seeing when I see movement and it's reversed is different ways of doing something. And we've learned how to virtualize a lot of different aspects of how we used to work and even do, commerce. So there might be a different way. A lot of my friends who are authors have done like virtual book launches, or instead of like a signing, it might be something on Zoom, or you could do like Instagram Live and you could meet and greet people. There's a lot of different ways now that you could do something for a very traditional brick and mortar type thing like that. They're even evolving. So you don't have to travel. You don't have to see people in person. Look at alternatives, and you might come up with a better way that's going to maybe be more effective and more exciting and more engaging for the people that you're working with. Okay. So different ways of traveling, different timings, and also making sure that you know where you're going. I've talked about this before. Sometimes it's exciting just to take a trip around the country or something and just drive, but you eventually need to know what time it is, where you're going to go, how things are moving. So you have to have a plan eventually. So get the plan ahead of time, and I think you'll be in a good place. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse at the center. Now, I like the Queen of Swords. I'm an air sign, so anytime I see an air sign card, I'm not averse to it. But the Queen of Swords reverse can sometimes be sometimes saying too much in too sharp of a way. So I think that you want to be direct and you want to get to the point. But what you want to do is use the elevated or the upright version of this card. Look at how she's actually gracious in the way that she's sort of communicating and kind of waiting for a cue. So in your communications, you can absolutely get straight to the point. But what you want to also do is take a temperature check of the room, who you're talking to, and extend a courtesy too. Thank them for their time. And also maybe it is a courtesy, but it's important. You could try to relate to where they're at. So if you disagree, you could praise them for the work that they've done, empathize with maybe what they're feeling and say, I also had this point of view. It took me a while, but I've actually seen that there might be some additional things that we could do that would be better. I want to talk to you. I think I have some things that might change your mind, but I want to say that I understand your point of view and I respect who you are. It's so much stronger to say it and not have it just be words coming out of your mouth. If you can't say it with authenticity, don't say it. It comes across in an even worse way, like condescending. So just try to be kind, be present, and see where that person is to make sure that they're also meeting you in the same energy. If somebody is distracted, if they're in a hurry, if they're dealing with stress that day, it would be so much stronger and better for you to just reschedule. Okay. But do get to the point. This is saying that it's important to try not to bore people with too much information and just get to the point and do it in a way that's grateful, gracious, and sensitive. We have the 9 of Pentacles on here. So one of the things that you might be negotiating is the bottom line on something, buying a house, talking about salary, talking to your partner about money, going to the bank and getting more information about your investments. What I like about the 9 of Pentacles is it's a card of independence, and it's a card of a lot of abundance, which was the theme that we were talking about in the channeled messages. So abundance is right there at your fingertips, but you're going to have to maybe ask the tough questions. Some of you may need just more information. I know sometimes when it comes to taxes or investments, I have to lean on professionals, because if you have a business or if you have complicated things that you're dealing with, we're not set up for all of that. So lean on a professional. Queen of Swords can definitely be like a lawyer for sure, or someone that's just really well read in something. So you could be talking to someone about your assets or your goals or your material sort of concerns. And it's important to do that. Even if you're busy, you've got to kind of take a look at that. And given all the stuff that's going on in our world right now, everybody should have a last will and testament put together, or create a trust, or just understand people's wishes. It's hard, but it's important, and it doesn't matter what age you are. You should always have that so that you can take care of the people around you that love you and depend on you. It's not a morbid thing, it's a preparation thing. So just get to the bottom of money matters, and I would even say things like will, testament, and stuff like that. All right. We have the Queen of Pentacles in the deep past. I love that we have a couple of really strong maternal cards at the center and in the past, because this is showing growth and development. So I want you to continue to work on personal development. Queen of Pentacles in reverse is about, for you, the way I read it anyway, is that maybe there's something that you want to do in your life that you haven't done before. It's a self-focused card. So that means that it might be time to take care of personal health, diet. Might be time to go back to school. It could be something where you want to just explore and expand. We don't always need to get the 8 of Pentacles to have that energy. Any of the court cards can kind of encompass that. Now, if you're in a current relationship, these 2 cards, I like that they're both queens. That shows kind of like equal energy, but they're not very present towards one another. One of them, the Queen of Pentacles, is very focused on themselves, which is not a bad thing, because it might be time. The Queen of Swords is very focused on trying to say something, but not listening. So one of the communication crossfires that I'm seeing here is someone that both of them think that they're right. One of them just isn't really talking, and the other one is talking too much without listening. So focusing on better communication both ways. I feel like you have to both be talking, and there could be a breakdown there. And you could be arguing about money because the 9 of Pentacles is there. This relationship could be work-related, family-related. And if it's just you, this could also be you kind of trying to decide between 2 things that are important to you. One that involves like a big investment of time and energy. The other one might be you're just talking too much and not getting started on it. So either way, I see a lot of potential. And I think that it's time to just sort of like move towards the potential and stop worrying so much, okay? We have a Page of Swords here in the recent past. So I see pages as delivery, sort of like delivery of message and also receipt of message. I want you to focus on how well you're listening. And that goes to what I was just talking about, because we have a queen there that's doing a lot of talking. The page should be listening too, but with both of these in reverse, again, communication can be tricky. Mercury retrogrades in the middle of the month. So try to get key, I would say, arguments or negotiations or discussions done prior to that. So anytime between the time that you're watching this reading and probably like the second week of the month, I would say 12th or 13th, to just get yourself as far away from the retrograde as possible. That would be cool. And that'll help you out with that a little bit. Now, I like that we have so much communication coming through for you, though. That tells me, if I pull the camera down for a second, we have a lot of resource cards attached to it. We have Queen of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, and the World card. So this is time for some of you to release something to the world. If you have a product, a service, a company, something that you've been holding on to, the World card says, let's let it go. It's time to distribute. It's time to disseminate. It's time to broadcast. And for many of you, it could be something that you have to say, or something, it could be your words or teachings. It could be like a curriculum even. This is a good time for those of you that are entrepreneurial and want to get out there. So yay, I like that. We have the World card reversed in the crowning position. With this particular, I see the world as a auspicious, aka a very positive omen, no matter where it is, no matter what position it's in. There are a few cards like that. Four of Wands is another one. There's a couple of other ones that I'll talk about. But with the world reversed, it has to do with inevitable change that you might need to either, it's a timing sort of thing where you either have to act quicker than you wanted to, or you want to adjust it and say, yes, but let's do it next month or something like that. So something about the timing is a little off, but it's an inevitable change. So the question is, how quickly can you do it? And if you're delaying, why are you delaying? Is it out of fear, or is it just, even if it's something more, it feels like you can't push this much more. So when I read these particular spreads, it can be anywhere from like 6 to 8 weeks, depending on when you watch it, and also just energetically for everything to take effect. So a couple months is really what these forecasts cover. Even though I'm kind of canvassing in them in 1 month, they spill a little bit into the one before and a little bit into the one after. That's just the way this works for me. So for you, I would say it's got to happen in about 8 weeks, this big change, 8 to 10 weeks if you're really pushing it. So move forward, make a decision. Now, I like the World card because it can be changes within job, relationship, like I said, personal health or development, and it's usually for the better. If you also move into this now, it's good. If you delay, then it becomes like the Tower. So I just feel like there's an inevitable change. Take note of it and take control of it. Be the Chariot right now and say, I'm going to do it. If it's a wake-up call, which it could be, the world is sometimes like the universe kind of hitting us on the third eye and saying, wake up, snap out of it, like Moonstruck. So snap out of it and do something now, and it's going to be well worth your while. Page of Wands in reverse in the near future, don't overthink it. You've got a great idea, you've got great insights and perspective, but you're probably spending too much time ruminating on it. So I feel like the time for thinking is done, at least towards the middle of the month. So if you have to sort of do your research and explore and drag your feet a little bit, a couple weeks at the beginning of the month, but then again, if you could do it just a little bit before retrograde, it's good. So maybe between the 10th and the 12th, or the 10th and the 14th, get that out there, get it finished. And then the rest of the month, you can work on making sure everything else is in a good place. This was the argument that I was talking about, or that I was picking up on, usually between parents and children. In my dream, it was actually a younger girl, but it's symbolic and we see her here and I'm like, that's her. So what I would say, there could just be something between you and someone that you love. For me, Five of Pentacles is a feeling of being left out and being not appreciated. And it's an intimate relationship, which is why it hurts. So it could be a sister or a friend that feels like a sister, or someone in your life that comes through like a parent. Doesn't have to be your parent. Somehow there could be this moment where it's like, you don't get me, or you disappointed me, or that really hurt. And as I said earlier, I think it's important to have a conversation, but don't get into an argument. And maybe the time is not exactly right then and there. It depends on what's being said. If they've made a really big misstep, yes. If there's a big gathering and it's embarrassing and it's going to create a scene, choose your timing better, perhaps. I always think you should get your voice. Your voice is important. We want you to be heard, especially with all these swords cards. Just think about timing, think about delivery, and you'll find the right way to do it. Okay. The cool thing here with Five of Pentacles, though, is it's basically reminding you that you don't need that person in your life. You're stronger than that. And the person's actually revealing a weakness, maybe, so that you can see your strengths and see how far you've come, especially for those of you that have had parents that just didn't show up the way they needed to. Instead of constantly expecting or wanting or wishing them to come back, start to look at yourself and think, you know what, I've done a pretty good job. I might not be perfect, but I'm doing a great job, and I'm gonna move beyond this right now. It's not worth it anymore. Be careful with overall investments this month. This ends up being a break-even card. As I said, I'm not in a scarcity mentality, but I am a realist when it comes to what's in my bank account. So I'm not going to go out and buy some mansion because I can't afford that. That's why I'm in the small apartment here, but I always hold space for something bigger. But you have to create the wealth and the growth and hope that one day you'll have it. So don't overstep your boundaries. I talked about making space. Make space in what exists and start to set up. If you're going to expect more abundance, then like I said, if you have a certain type of checking account, make sure that it can grow into something more. Make sure that when you're negotiating for a salary, you go for a higher one rather than lowballing yourself. It's just about setting up the space for growth, and it will start to move. So this is a self-confidence card as well. I want you to have better confidence in yourself, okay? So the other thing that I'm picking up on here is two relationships that it's kind of like two groups of friends or two relationships that are factoring into your life. We'll talk about it in a second. I want to talk about this as an aspect of your personality. First, we have the King of Wands in reverse in the environment. So this is oftentimes either how you're interacting with others or how they're affecting you, what's going on around you. So King of Wands, just like the Queen of Wands, an amazing card for running things, for managing things, for being in charge. Interesting how this particular king has decided, I'm not just going to sit down. I want to kind of like have a hands-on approach. I want to see everything that's going on. I like the active sort of stance that's going on here. He's a force to be reckoned with. The card in reverse can show sometimes, again, closed-mindedness. And because we have a page and a king here, there could be a situation in your life where you may be the one who's more experienced, but somebody has more seniority, or maybe you're younger and you have more work experience and you just have the right connections and you get something rather than the person that has the age and sort of the seniority. So there's something going on between a power play and it's not about who's better. It's kind of like timing, opportunity, and placement. And so this is that example that I was talking about. You may feel jealous, angry, or resentful about that person getting it and not you. Take a look at where you're at. Why did that happen? Why are they not taking you? Why are they taking you for granted, and why are they not valuing your services or your contribution? Whether it's a relationship or a job, you want to focus on what have I done to maybe give that impression that I could be treated like this. And two, if I haven't given anything, like why am I in a place where they don't appreciate me in general? It's either environmental or personal, but it's probably a combination of the both. So work on your self-confidence and then either have a conversation with the people around you so that doesn't happen again, or move on and move up. That's the kind of like world card that's pushing you to make that change, move up or move on. We have a Queen of Swords and a Page of Swords, and we have a King of Wands and a Page of Wands. This could be a mixed family where there's a couple of children, two people that are divorced, and you're merging the families. This could be two couple situations, or it could be a clique, like two friend groups. Everybody, we have a couple of cards that are upright, but there's a lot, all of the people cards were reversed. So it seems like everybody's in their own world right now. And I think that could be part of 2020, right? We spent a lot of time in isolation. Our conversational skills may not be what they used to be, or communication skills might have atrophied a bit. So I see some challenges in merging groups of people where individually they may get along. Together, there's going to be some challenges. So be mindful of that, okay? As we look at hopes, fears, and possibilities, we have the High Priestess. She needs to trust herself, though. She's a powerful energy, and we see her here represented by a crystal ball and all the cards that we're looking at right now. You know how to make it work. Notice, because this is a steampunk deck, we see all the gears and everything, which I like. It takes time, and what she's going to do is set into motion all of these things so that the bigger machine can start working. When the card is reversed, though, you as the High Priestess have an intuition, but you don't trust it or act upon it. So the way that you can transmute or pull this card upright is to listen to yourself, honor your dreams and intuitions, and make some action happen. That's why we have all those gears behind her. You have to act upon what you see and what you hear. For me, no matter how weird things feel or sound, I say them, because that's how spirit works through me. And I have a trust with spirit, and I just show up and I'll say what I see. Once you get into intuitive energies like this, it makes the rest of your life easier because you don't second guess yourself as much. So for many of you with the Seven of Cups, I love it. This is your outcome card. It's all about possibilities. But when the card is reversed, there is a nudge from the universe to clear out the mental cobwebs a bit. And if there's too much occupying that space, there's no focal point. This is a great example of this is if you walk into someone's house and they're a collector, quote unquote, but there's just stuff everywhere. I'm like, what aren't you collecting? I can't see what the highlight is. So with think of a museum, which is curated. They have a lot of things in storage, but they rotate things in and out so that you can see the collections. You need to curate your thoughts this month so that it's not like a garage. Push some of that stuff into short-term or long-term storage and put into the center stage, maybe 3 or 4 things that you're going to focus on. That is your museum. That is your curated focal point so that all the other stuff isn't kind of ricocheting around like a bunch of pinballs where you're like, I can't think, I can't focus. So clean up your goals, your dreams, your thoughts this month a little bit. Put the other stuff in storage. Do some literal cleaning in your house too. I use that example, but that's what I was being shown. Curation is key. There you go. We'll leave it on that. All right. Also, by the way, the 7 of Cups and the World card are a decision that needs to be made. 7 of Cups is deciding, landing on something when it's reversed. You've explored the alternatives. You know that there's one to choose. The World is pulling that trigger and saying, I'm going to move forward on it. All right. Let me take a drink here, and then we're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. As we look at your health card, the message here is when I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. Because this is health, I'm also going to look at realign as an indicator of something that you might want to be focusing on. So let's start with the realignment, and then I'll kind of go deeper into the other part of this. I'm specifically kind of tuning into your spine or any other part of your body where things are off a little bit, this might be a time to, just make sure that you're not carrying things in a weird way, whether it's a briefcase, attaché, purse, backpack, whatever. Just make sure that the way that it's kind of pulling your body is in a good place. Look at your posture. Work with maybe a physical therapist or an acupuncture specialist, or better yet, a chiropractor. It feels like there's an alignment issue for some of you. This can also stem from what your chair looks like, what your bed looks like. So look at some of the environmental things that could be throwing you off balance. And also watch where you're walking. We didn't get the Fool card, or we did get the 5 of Pentacles card though, so that can show a misstep. So just watch your balance this month and stay balanced. If you're having vertigo or any issues, this is something we're going to have to work with professionals. It's not just about meditation. You'll have to probably get it taken care of. But a new pair of shoes, I talked to another sign, you can do something like that, and that can help a lot. The moment that I realign with love, clear direction is presented to me. So with health, this is also about how much you love and respect and honor yourself. So bringing that into balance and not worrying, like I said, about this person from the past or this experience from the past, healing it, going into that inner child and loving yourself and being there to bring balance into the present. It's going to help you with all these other relationships that we saw coming through. So self-love is really important. As far as other health cards or messages go, with the 7 of Cups, it can sometimes be so much going on in your head that this is the one where meditation would help. You need to breathe, you need to kind of let it go. And sometimes this can lead into anxiety, panic attacks, in a very kind of like extreme case, maybe even a migraine or something like that. So if you need to talk to someone, the 7 of Cups in reverse, it's a great way to empty out all of that energy. Whatever kind of help you want, whether it's a friend, a psychologist, some support group or whatever, it feels like you could benefit from just being listened to, being supported. Let's look at wealth now. So we have Mary Magdalene, the card was reversed, but the message says the teacher awakens. You have something important to share. I agree, by the way. Follow the inner call. Don't let anything stop you. So I'll pull the card close so you can look at all the messaging. I love how peaceful it is. I love that we see those lilies at the bottom too, which can be a sign of death and rebirth and growth. The card in reverse is basically saying that you can't afford to sort of be asleep at the wheel anymore. It's the reverse of sleeping. You have to wake up. And I'm a big fan of science fiction. There's a line in Dune where he says like the sleeper has awakened. Same sort of thing. Like sometimes we have a pivotal moment where we realize now that I have to take accountability. I've become the person that I thought I could be, and I'm just going to step into that right now. So much like I was saying earlier, I just feel like you're being encouraged before the year is up, before December 31st, to put a stake in the ground and say, this is what I'm going to do next. And for some of you, with the Page of Swords, the Queen of Swords, the Page of Wands, the King of Wands, that definitely is teaching, mentorship, instruction, any sort of support sort of energy that you wanted to put into that, it's there. So like I said, a curriculum or a book or some sort of even online, like now publication takes so many different forms. YouTube is one of them. Social media is one of them. So you could be on TikTok or Instagram or whatever and disseminating messages that way too. Even in your general business, I've seen recently people like real estate agents using TikTok. I think it's genius because it's like 1 minute, I get to see the whole thing. And I'm like, that's cool. I've seen fitness people use it, readers like myself. So, think of different ways to aggregate your messages and get out there. And you might be surprised, and you could teach in a different way. It doesn't mean you have to be in a classroom. I think some of that stuff is an old paradigm that's shifting out. With the wealth cards, we have an interesting sort of paradoxical combination here between one of great abundance, the Nine of Pentacles, which is the truth. And then we have squarely in your ego, an undervaluation of your value. So this to me is about self-confidence. This is about the reality, and you want to be fighting for this to come through. And that's what's going to have to happen. And it might be some steps. This is a big jump from the 5 to the 9. So what we would see then is a journey. A little bit of advice to those of you that are younger, and any age for that reason, except with this year, which is probably like just a very unusual year where sometimes we have to take whatever job comes our way. One time in my career, I ended up taking a job where I was paid significantly less than the job before it. And it hurt me because they used previous salaries, even though it was only like a 6-month period or an 8-month period, the other job factored that in. And it would have been better for me not to include it, which I would advise in the future. Maybe you do, just say, no, I'm not going to provide that salary information. Better yet, don't accept less than if you were used to getting something. Like you should be tracking in a higher position as you move through time and space. This is a year where that's different, of course, because we have amazingly high unemployment because certain industries are contracting. But it's a good time to look at maybe other things that you could do, adding to the education, making sure that in the future you have more to leverage. And you always want to negotiate for more. You're worth it, okay? But to get from the 5 to the 9 might involve going through like the 7 of Pentacles, which will be a period where you pay down things, where you start to make a little more, where you work a little harder. The 8 of Pentacles, which is training in school, and that'll eventually get you there. So there's a little bit of a couple, maybe 1 job or 2 jobs that'll get you up to that next one. So start to look at your path, and it may not be in your current place of employment. If you're retired, this is really just making sure that you're taking care of your health. And I think the 5 of Pentacles has more to do with being careful and not giving too much to children or dependents that are not taking care of themselves or not working, not because they can't find it, but just because they won't work. So you have to take care of yourself. Balance is important. All right, let's look at love. We have, I love this one here, create an altar or visit a power place to connect with the divine. This is that sacred space I was really encouraging you to set up every morning, maybe for 15 minutes. It can be as ritualistic as you would like you could literally, like I light candles. I say a prayer for every candle you see here. So there's 4 here and there's 2 in that one back there. So before I begin the readings, I pray to the divine, I pray to some archangels, I call in ancestral and higher energies, all of the divine. So each one of those candles is a prayer, and they're all real candles. So there's something powerful. And if you don't know a lot about what color a candle use, just use a clear candle, a white candle. It works. It definitely helps amplify the energy of a space. So you can do that if you would like to, but you don't have to for meditation. You can just close your eyes. You can hold on to a crystal and just start to make an intention. This is another form of amplification. So whatever works for you is fine, but I want you in those morning moments if you can. You can also do it at the evening if you if you do have that ability to stay awake and stay focused, but set the intentions for movement in your life. It's in love. So for some of you, some of the healing can happen there, and you can start to see ways to shape, to shift, to improve your relationships, because you're going to learn more about yourself in that process. As we look at overall relationships, there are so many people in the room here, not just here, but in here, I'm looking at the queen, the page, the queen, the page, the king. So for me, that could be a gathering, that could be getting lost in the crowd. I think this happened for Aquarius too. So both of your signs seem to have a lot of energy around you. So I want you to stay strong and focused. A lot of times when there's all of this going on, it feels like sometimes your voice, even as I was trying to straighten my throat there, your voice may be the one that you need to focus on clarifying and just making sure if you know who you are and you stand strong in that, then everyone else is going to be able to see it as well. There's definitely options if you're looking for love, but it could be dizzying. When I see 7 of Cups, if I was doing a relationship read, I would say that the person that you were asking me to read didn't know what they were looking for. And if it was reversed, maybe they were just starting to figure it out. So I would say before you enter into a big relationship this month, if you're looking for love, really figure out, am I ready? Is there anything in my life that I need to fix? And what am I looking for exactly? And that's going to make the process a lot more fruitful. If you're in a relationship, something big could be happening. You could be deciding to take it to the next level. You could be wondering if this is what you signed up for. Clarification is the main message across the board there. There's not a single person. There's a lot of people coming in. So for you, I would just say be discerning, and you have to figure it out first. All right, so we have this, reminds me of sage here. But in many, many religions, different types of incense, resin, plants, different things can be burned to create that sense of clearing. And this kind of goes with clearing your mind, clearing your space, clearing your energy. We have prayers as a part of this. So I want you to kind of focus on the combination of release and create, or basically to even let go of or destroy something, and then in its wake, create something new. You're the phoenix rising from the ashes that we see here. And this is also a way to send that message into the heavens. So your intentions are super strong, and that's why we have the high priestess, and that's why we have this divine flame that's sending the message into spirit. One way that you can get rid of stuff too is if you wanted to write something or get rid of something, you can burn it. If it's an old personal effect or something, this is another way to transmute the energy. Washing it is, breaking it is, burning it is. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Reforging it if it's something that you want to melt down and create into something else like a ring, and you want to make a necklace or a bracelet or something like that. That's a way that you can also transmute that if you really liked it and want it just in a different form. You're being asked to sort of shift or shape shift a little bit with that, and that's up to you what you want to do with that. Let's go ahead now and review the messages so that we have enough time to get into the soul path. Let me just get all the cards set up here, and then we will look at these messages. All right. So beginning with the first set of channeled messages, we saw this a lot with the 5 of Pentacles, moving from prosperity, or rather moving from scarcity to prosperity, and understanding that it's much stronger to think about what's possible, and to kind of hold that into your consciousness is key. Expect more from yourself and others, and that's really about thinking that anything is possible, not limiting yourself, especially children, but also partners in your life, because they can always be more than they are. If you believe that you can make something happen, if you put the work into making it happen and do everything you can to foster it, then as you expect more will come. The reverse is true. If you expect less, then you're definitely going to get less. Create space, literal and figurative, in your life to allow for these future abundance, or this future abundance, to come through. Wake up every day as you're kind of setting the intentions here and say, something great can happen today. In fact, move to saying, I'm going to create something great. And as we go into the next set of cards, remember, of course, like I'm doing it, not I'm going to, just I am. Make it as active as possible. So take action. It only takes one small step to create some sort of a movement or to build momentum. So be that action. Release a feeling of entitlement or comparing yourself to others. Really focus instead on being alchemic with your approach, and persevere, be determined, put the work in, basically. Once you do that, you're moving into actual creation and constructive energies. I'm encouraging you to say less of these possibility words. I can. Okay, I'm glad that you're thinking about what you can do or you might. You will, it's stronger, but when you say you are or I am, then you actually are in that act of creation and there's no holding back. So it takes you out of the hypothetical, basically. The surefire way to fail is just not to do. So choose to do instead of not to do. To be or not to be, that is the question. You're going to be. Okay, so once you've completed the task or work at hand, let go, refocus. Because sometimes if we hold on to something too much, it's just as bad as the Five of Pentacles. 4 and 5 of Pentacles hold us back. Detachment allows for more abundance to flow. Again, it's sort of like after you have, as a farmer, perhaps kind of the crops have all been kind of taken in, you have to then go into the fields and retill them and allow a little bit of a rest period before you start again. And so you might be in that period of resting and waiting and preparation. What else do you want to do? You should never wait until something's done to have an answer to that question. You should always be thinking of the next thing because it allows you to be the high priestess 24/7, which you really want to be doing. You're not constrained by a dream that you've had in the past or some commitment that you made when you were a senior in high school or a senior in college. Whatever your major was, it doesn't always have to stay that way. You're changing throughout your life. Don't be held hostage by that moment in time. Liberate yourself and be free of that. It's kind of like the devil card reversed. If you are having any sort of frequent dreams right now of people that have either passed literally in your life, transitioned to the other side, or something that's just in the past and you're wondering why it's coming through, it's because there's a little bit left karmically that you need to sort out. So pray and meditate on that and release whatever energies you might still be holding on to there. What if you're exactly where you need to be right now? All that you need to do is to appreciate the lesson and integrate any missing pieces of it that you haven't already sort of like acknowledged, and then boom, changes start to happen. Start to look for synchronicities once you make that kind of like realization, because it will happen fast, and prepare so that you can start to really embrace the changes and not be taken by surprise. One thing you want to try to avoid is any sort of argument or any sort of distracting energy that family might be trying to throw your way. It's just that, it's a distraction. Change is inevitable. We saw it with the World card. We see it here also with this travel card, but there's a different way to do it. There might be a better way to do it. We talked about different ways to do business as well. It hits in both of those categories. Looking at the widespread of cards here, there's so many people. So make sure if there's anything that you're doing in your life that your voice is heard, that you fight for yourself and you advocate for what your self-worth is. Speak up, but also make sure that you're listening to those around you. There's a lot of voices, like I said. Yours can be the strongest because we do have the Queen here, but just make sure that the words are appropriately timed and chosen. This is the true worth, the 9 of Pentacles. This is the illusion, the 5 of Pentacles. Work to bridge the gap. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. If you want to go back to school or somehow build your self-confidence, do it. It will bode well for the future. Couple of pages, swords and wands, on either side of the communication card. Just make sure that listening and communication is in balance. Make sure that what you say is what is heard by others. I talked to Aquarius about that yesterday. There could just be a miscommunication. It could save a lot of time once you get to it, and then you'll be able to move on. Moving on, moving up, moving forward, that's the main thing that we see with this. It could be career, it could be some sort of a relationship, energy, whatever it is. I like the world. It can also be distribution. There's a little bit of fear attached to this particular card, so work on releasing that fear. We talked about all of these. This is your self-worth. It's also saying be careful as you walk. Literally, sometimes you can trip. Sometimes there can be pain in your joints. Or like me, if I've had a sprained ankle, it's still hurting. You need to take care of that, etc. Be open-minded. If I just had to pull a single phrase for this card, the King of Wands, that's what that is. Listen to your intuition. Don't second guess it. Take some action on it. That's why she has all the gears behind her. And just clarify everything this month. What you're trying to do, what you're looking for in relationships. Curate your goals as well. It's good to have a lot of things, but it's better to do 1 or 2 of them really well than to do 10 of them so-so. So that's the message there. Balance your body and your spine this month, and then also focus on loving yourself and valuing yourself. Those are the two main messages here in health and wealth. There's a call to teach or share your knowledge with others. However you want to do that is up to you. With love, really making sure that you're taking time for yourself. That sacred space could also just be a little bit of personal time, but knowing that as you step into that sacred space, you're going to be able to heal relationships, and you'll probably be able to move forward in career and other goals. Finally, this is about releasing something and sending it to sending it to the world or sending it to heaven. And if there's something that you need to transmute, again, smoke isn't a very effective way. That's why we smudge with like frankincense or sage or incense. But you can also use it to let go of something, an old letter or, a personal effect. So that's that main message there. All right, let's step into the soul path, go a little bit deeper. I want to see how you can step into the energy of the world and not get lost in the shuffle, because Seven of Cups is a distracted card. And there's so many people that I want to see, like, how can we make sure that you stand out in the best possible way? All right. I see some people talking about, I use all those different types of clearing methods. So I have frankincense as a resin. I have different types of resins there. I like that. I have over to my side about half a dozen different incense varieties. And then I also use regular sage as well. They all kind of take on a different type of clearing. So it depends what I'm looking for. I agree. I love all the different ways that we can clear energy. Crystals are a good way too. Speaking of crystals, let me be clear. All right, again, how can you stand out? How can you get into the energy of change? All right, so we have the Nine of Wands. Don't give up. This is one thing that I see here. The quality of your work is really, really important. And always you're going to see a bandage or some sort of a battle scar on the head of the person in the Nine of Wands. And I see it as perseverance. Now, if any of you have been put in a position where people have given you a hard time, they've either bullied you, maybe they've abused you, maybe they've said something wrong, you are going to rise above this. And you're going to prove them wrong by being successful. And that's the energy of the Nine of Wands. You have to be a little pushy with it. The Seven and the Nine of Wands are survivor cards, and they are energies where you push yourself a little bit more than you think you can go. Excuse me, you're so close to achieving a goal with this one. I think that it's really, really important for you to not give up. So this is really about perseverance. I talked about having capacity to teach or share a message. This could also be for some of you how you found the energy to make something happen, maybe overcoming diversity or overcoming adversity in your life where people are just not supporting you or don't like you because you're different. Like both of those words apply there. So how have you used your singular energy and approach to be successful? It's not always an easy road. And the Nine of Wands always entails some bumps and some twists and turns and sometimes some battle scars. But what we see is a person standing strong and ready to get to the Ten of Wands and ready to move on. This also indicates, just like the World card, that a move may be inevitable for some of you. So as we look at the next 3 to 6 months, it doesn't have to happen immediately, but I see the energy of a move coming through for some of you. Okay. Let's take a look at Five of Pentacles. Is there any healing that we can do for self-confidence, for family, for that inner child? What does your inner child need to hear right now? I get the question a lot. I always read Western or tropical astrology. All right, back to the question here, which was 10 of Pentacles, and how can you value yourself? How can you move out of the Five of Pentacles? All right, so with the 10 of Pentacles, it is a strong family-oriented card and community-oriented card. And so one thing that I want you to do is to realize that you're shaping the next generation. A lot of times our parents, our elders, are constrained by the limits of the previous century even, and we're in a much different energetic flow. And you see this woman here reading her cards and creating her own destiny. And if she wants something different, she can create something different. So you are not your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister. You are you. I don't know why, but communication is seeming to also be hard as I look at some of this stuff for you guys. So I would say, are you having a hard time expressing yourself? Because that's where my energy is feeling a little bit of a constraint as I look at the Ten of Pentacles, and we're talking about family. So do you choke up when you're in the presence of somebody that you really care about and that you need to say something? What are you trying to convey to them? What I see with the Ten of Pentacles is you matter, your life is of value, and you have a great potential to do amazing things in the world. So what's holding you back from doing those amazing things? I want you to make sure that it's not your own fear. And if it's someone around you that won't allow you to be you, then it's time to move on beyond that, okay? You can always find a new chosen family or tribe or collective that will support you, even if it's not your biological one. So sometimes it's stronger, sometimes it's better. I've talked about that before. Ultimately, I like this card. It's showing growth and abundance, and it's a nice marriage to the Nine of Pentacles, which is, again, underlining the fact that you have what it takes. So I just want you to trust and lean into that worth and hopefully bring it into your self-worth, because I can see it and the cards can see it, and the cards don't lie. All right, let's look at the release card here. The smoke here and prayers card and the Seven of Cups. So what are these two trying to show you? Page of Cups in reverse. It's time to be happy. Give yourself permission to be happy. This is the one thing that I mentioned earlier. There's some things that we're not entitled to any given thing in this lifetime. We're given milestones and opportunities, but you do deserve to be in a state of joy, of happiness, and of love. So choose love, choose happiness, and this could be walking away from this. So if it is this family could be a job that you worked at, a community that you live in, or your family, and you might be moving away from the traditional family into your chosen family. This will bring happiness to you. If you've been denied happiness by that group, then it's especially time to move on. Get yourself into a place where you feel this month, I love myself, I'm ready for abundance in all forms, and I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking for in future opportunities, and I also know what I'm looking for like in relationships and in my life. And that empowers me because everything that I do from this step forward helps reinforce the vision and the dream that I have for my future. And we have the High Priestess coming through in many ways this month. So she's here literally in your possibility space. She's here reading in the Ten of Pentacles. She's probably outside of this fire circle praying and releasing that into the ethers. She's here every morning setting up the prayer and the intention for the day. They're all the High Priestess to me. Different forms of her kind of like creating and moving. So the only thing that can hold you back is lack of clarity. Give yourself permission to be in a state of love, to be happy, clarify and curate your goals and dreams. If your family doesn't love you or support you, move forward. It's okay. And don't give up. Whatever you want to create, don't give up. That's the soul messages anyway for this month. We're going to meditate here in just a second, but before I do that, just a quick, simple favor. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do that. My channel is a little bit different from the rest. I'm sure you've seen that. I don't grow at the same rate as others right now, so it means a lot. Every subscriber, I appreciate you. So if you liked it and you want to see future videos, thumbs up and subscribe. I appreciate it. And I saw a few go up, and we've got triple 1111. So thank you so much. All right. For the meditation today, I want to see us here. This is a beautiful image. We're going to be out at twilight, releasing our dreams and intentions, and we're going to look into the smoke and see what's coming through. We're going to use that as a scrying method. Kind of like if you look into a scrying mirror, you can see things. We're going to see our future in the flames and in the smoke and create things and then breathe life into it. Kind of like a dragon. As we get set up here, please just get into a comfortably seated place. You can listen to this meditation as much as you'd like. Anybody's welcome to listen, whatever sign you're currently, or whatever signs are in your chart. This is basically a healing for everybody. And today we're helping you get your dreams and your aspirations, making them a reality. All right, So close your eyes. I want you to scan your body, especially your back and your knees, ankles, legs. Those are the areas that showed up as possibly having a little bit more susceptibility to throwing you off balance. So sitting up tall, just imagining that there is this cosmic hand that's going right along your body, adjusting whatever needs to be adjusted. And as you breathe in, I want you to feel a sense of light moving through your body and healing, and also the sense that the weight that you're carrying on your shoulders is getting a little bit lighter too. Everything's easier. Nice deep breath, inhale. Exhale, let it go. Good. We usually do this at the end, but let's do it at the beginning. I want you to take your hands and feel the heat, the light, and the warmth. Hold it out in front of you for a second and imagine that you're feeding the fire that we saw in that card here, in the Destiny card. And I want you to put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that, connecting yourself to the flame of that fire, your heart, your passion, your dreams, your internal knowledge, that ancient knowledge, connecting to the flames and the fire and controlling and kind of creating a theater of energy in front of you. With the first breath that you take, I want you to release things that you don't want anymore. And as you see the flames go higher, they're going to consume your fear, your doubt, or your frustration. So whatever person, place, thing, fear, energy it is that you're holding on to that's somehow keeping you from being in your power, I want you to take a really deep breath, and I want you to push all of that energy into the fire. Good. I'm just going to do it once. You can breathe multiple times. There actually is something in yoga called the breath of fire. You can look it up later, where you would pump your stomach muscles and push the energy in the fire. If you listen to this later, you can imagine yourself doing that. Keep doing that until you see the fire is kind of going at a good pace. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of heat, warmth, and light. At this point, I want you to, in your meditation, look into the flames, and I want you to see your power, your potential, your divine flame of energy. And I want you to feel that divine flame also glowing in your heart. We often neglect the lower chakras. We're not going to today. I want you to see all of the colors in the flame connected to the lower chakras, starting with the red, the root chakra. In this moment, at the very least, I want you to feel safe and supported, connected to the planet. Like a tree putting its roots in the ground, you are strong. Nothing's going to knock you down. Moving on to the orange light, the light of creation that we would see in the sexual chakras. I want you to feel like you could forge anything that you want. If you ever see a light, not necessarily light worker, we are, but someone that's working with glass, a glass worker, or someone that's like working with metals, you're going to see those energies of red, orange, and yellow, because they're literally forging something. So imagine that you are putting a dream into the fire and you're pulling, maybe you're even bringing that out of your belly. You're seeing that red, orange, and now the powerful energy that where you would hold that in your stomach, that yellow light. See all of these things moving around your body and also moving into what you're trying to create. Whether it's something tangible, whether it's a shift in your consciousness, whether it's a new relationship, see that beautiful light swirling around it and see a painting or an image of that in the flames. And now I want you to just release all of this. Whatever you're trying to create, know now that you've planted this fire seed here and it's going to start to come into fruition. I want you to see your ability now also to bring this fiery energy through your body. So imagine, just like a dragon, you can breathe it through every fiber of your being. And there's beautiful shades of red, yellow, orange light. You can imagine yourself as a dragon, as a phoenix, or just as a beautiful, resplendent light being that is burning so strong that it goes from all of these colors to pure, bright white light, which is sometimes the color of the hottest burning stars, blue or white light. So I want you to see this just really resplendent light now that is in your light being. And as I play the singing bowl, I want you to release the fear or the uncertainty that anything could happen. Step into the power of I am. I am creating the dream that I see. I am forging it now. And I am releasing any of the fear otherwise. Take a nice deep breath, inhale. As you exhale, I want you to see the fire starting to slow down a little bit. Look into the smoke now and realize that if there's anything that you needed to clear, it's now being cleared. The smoke moves around you, hugs you a little bit, and then recedes. Those embers are burning. You can rekindle those flames anytime you need. You always hold that power within. Take your hands again, create some warmth, some light, some heat, some friction. Move your left hand on your heart, right hand on top of that. And imagine that you're putting those embers of those fire, the seeds of the fire here in your heart. You can access it anytime that you need it. You have a really amazing month ahead of you from what I can see. All that's required from you is some decisions, a little bit of movement, and in some levels, just sort of loving yourself and being ready to kind of step into the power that you already have. So I hope you can do that, okay? As we wrap up here, I just want to say thanks for everybody that was kind enough to join today. We had a nice amount of people here. That always makes me happy. I'm going to give you some links here. All of them are going to be on my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. So I'll give you that link first. Before I do that, again, if you haven't liked and subscribed, consider doing it. It helps a lot, and it doesn't require but a click. If you've been kind enough to give me a super sticker, super chat, I'll pin a comment later and just say thank you. But in the meantime, I'm saying thanks now. I know so we have a few existing channel members. If you ever want to join, you can click the join button, and basically you'll get different colored text, some new emojis, and I'll be having something in about a month, we'll see, where I might do another Q&A, and I usually take questions from the member tab or from my Patreon members first. So it's a great way to kind of get more access to me. So there you go. Join me on social media if you can. On all social media platforms, I am Nicholas Ashbaugh, major ones except Twitter. On Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, I will use the story feature to remind you of future videos, and I actually put clickable links in Facebook and Instagram. I also post all of those little notes that I wrote out on those top 3. And TikTok, I just have fun, but you're welcome to join me there. I'll figure that out. I might do some Q&A stuff there in the future as well. Patreon, just like the join button, like I said, is a way to give back. Just a note, it's always at Nicholas Ashbaugh, no words before or after. I never message people directly on those platforms. I've had imposters pop up before, so I'm not going to send you messages on those platforms. This is how I talk to you in a video form, or I'll put a proper post on those pages. You're not going to get DMs from me. You can join me on Twitter at nashbaugh, and my PayPal page is paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh, and all of this is on my main website. If you can't remember any of this, you're clearly already on my channel. You can click on the About tab, and it's all right there. Okay, that is everything, and what a great way to wrap up the month. I can't wait for October. I think it's a magical month because we are right at that that sort of point between. Here in North America, it's fall, it's spring, and the other in the southern hemisphere, and also because of October, the end of it, there's so much energy around the veil being thin that there's a lot of access to spirit and your spirit as well. So take advantage of it, lean into it, and have a great month ahead. Much love and light to everyone. Thanks again to my moderators, both Maria and Ryan. I appreciate you. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back in about a week's time. In the meantime, much love and light, everybody. Take care. Thank you.